Hi everyone, welcome back. In this video, we will understand Canary deployment in API Gateway and what really happens when we promote a Canary. In this diagram, we can see that we have users and client and also API Gateway with stage prod. All users send requests to a single production stage called prod. There is only one production endpoint. Inside this stage called prod, API Gateway supports Canary deployments. Now on the left hand side, we can see we have a green box and a yellow box. The green box is a baseline, our stable production version. The yellow box is the Canary, the new version receiving only a small percentage of traffic. In our diagram, that would be 10%. Suppose from this Canary deployment, we get some issues or unexpected errors. In that case, we can easily roll back to this baseline deployment. In this demo, we are using mock integration for both Canary and baseline. This lets us focus only on Canary behavior without adding any backend dependencies. Overall, this is powerful because real user traffic reveals real issues. If something goes wrong, only a small number of users are affected. Now that we are done with this first diagram, let's move to the second diagram. Now here's an important question. What happens if everything looks good and we click the Promote Canary button in API Gateway console? Promote simply means make the Canary the new baseline. After promoting the Canary deployment is copied into the baseline. The baseline deployment is now updated. It contains the Canary change. So in this case, we can see that the baseline deployment response has changed from hello from prod to hello from Canary. You can also see traffic splitting stops. Now 100% of requests go to this updated baseline. There is no separate Canary anymore. With that understanding, let's move to the hands-on section. Now that we are in this AWS console, let's open API Gateway. In this API Gateway, on the top right, we can see we have this Create API button. Let's click it. In this Create API, we can see we have to choose an API type. Scrolling to the bottom, we can see we have REST API and another REST API private. We will be using REST API, so click Build button. In this build, we can see that we are prompted to enter multiple things. For now, let's add API name as Canary Demo API. Since security policy is mandatory, so let's add TLS 1.3 recommended part. And let's click Create API from the bottom right. Let's wait till it gets created. Now we can see that we have successfully created an API. So let's click Create Resource. In this resource name, let's call it Hello for now and click Create Resource. We can see we have /hello being created. Now we have that /hello path being created. Let's create a method. In the method type, let's select get, and in integration type, you can see we have many options. To keep this demo as simple as possible, let's select mock and click create method. Now we can see that we have /hello path created with a method called get. Now once we click into this get method, we can see that we have a visual representation of what's happening from this client to mock integration. Since we are mocking the integration, we will be going into this integration response. In integration response, let's click this edit button. In this edit button, we can see that currently we are sending response status code of 200, which is fine. Let's click mapping template from the bottom. And in the mapping template, we can see we are setting the content type to application/JSON. So in template body, let's add a custom message. For now, let's add a message called hello from prod to match from our previous diagram. You can see we had this hello from prod for our baseline. For now, let's create a template body with hello from prod. Now let's click save. Now we can see that we have successfully mocked the response. Now we want to deploy this API. Right now on the top right, you can see the deploy API is not enabled. So let's refresh this page. Now you can see the deploy API is active. So let's click deploy API, and in this stage, let's click this drop down and let's click new stage, and let's call this stage prod. Again, referring to this diagram, we had prod as a stage. Let's name it as prod for now, and let's click deploy. Now we can see that we are in the stage called prod. So the prod stage has been created for us, and we are also given an invoke URL. So let's copy this URL and see if our base deployment is working. Let's append /hello because that was the path that we created. So let me show you. So you see the path /hello. So we are appending this /hello because we created the path where we have a method get that was mocking our backend. So let's click this and see if it is working. Give it a few seconds and refresh. AWS changes can take a moment to propagate. Now you can see that we are getting hello from prod. Moving back to this diagram, now we have successfully deployed our baseline with a mock response hello from prod. So let's refresh this page multiple times to see. Yes, we are getting hello from prod. So let's move to this API Gateway. Now that we are done with base deployment, now let's enable Canary deployment from stages prod. In this stages prod, moving down to the bottom part, we can see we have Canary tab. So let's click this Canary tab. In this Canary tab, we see we have create Canary button. So let's click create Canary. Now we can see in this Canary setting, currently we have 0% for Canary and 100% for current stage. For testing purpose, let's put 50% for Canary and click create Canary. Now we can see the Canary has been enabled. We can now see that 50% of traffic will be redirected to the Canary and 50% to the base deployment prod. One important thing to notice is that once Canary is enabled, any change we make and deploy to the same stage, for example, the prod stage, becomes the Canary version. The baseline deployment remains unchanged and traffic is split based on the configured percentage. So now since Canary is enabled, let's go to the resources and to the get method. Now we want to change our integration response. So let's click into this integration response tab and click edit. Now we want to change the mapping template. So instead of hello from prod, now we will be saying hello from Canary and click save. Now with these changes, we have created this yellow box. So we have a Canary deployment with a mock response of hello from Canary. Now let's go to the URL and see if the Canary deployment is working. Let's refresh this page. Okay, one important thing to notice here that I forgot is we did make change to the Canary, but we didn't deploy it. So let's click deploy API, and from this stage we can see we have prod with Canary enabled. So let's click prod Canary enabled and click deploy. Now let's wait for some time for the changes to be reflected. Now in this invoke URL for the prod stage, let's click refresh to see if the changes has been reflected. Finally, we can see that the changes has been reflected, and we see we alternate between hello from prod and Canary. So this shows that the Canary deployment is working along with the baseline deployment. So suppose there was some issues and we wanted to roll back. We can do that easily. So let's go back into this API Gateway console and go to stages and again to the Canary tab, and in Canary tab click edit. In edit we can set Canary to 0 and click save. Again wait some time for the changes to be reflected. Finally the changes has been reflected. So no matter how many times I refresh this page and hit the invoke URL, we can see now we see hello from prod, meaning we have easily rollbacked our problematic Canary deployment. Since we have seen the rollback, now let's undo the change. Click edit and make it to 50% and click save. Now suppose that the Canary version is stable and we want to direct our every user request to the Canary version. So how will we do that? So we have this button called Promote Canary under Canary tab. Once we click the Promote Canary, API Gateway replaces the base deployment in the prod stage in our example with Canary version. And all requests now go to this deployment and Canary traffic no longer exists. So let's click this Promote Canary button. We have this dialog box. So again click Promote Canary. Now we can see in the Canary setting, request directed to Canary is 0%. It is 0% because now we have no more a Canary deployment and everything goes to this prod stage where the change from Canary version has been copied. So now let's check the output of our invoke URL for /hello path after promoting the Canary. Now as I click this refresh page, you can see I am getting hello from Canary for every request, which means that we have successfully promoted our Canary deployment and new changes has been reflected to every users. That's it for this demo. If this helped you understand Canary deployments better, please consider subscribing. I will be sharing more simple practical AWS demos like this. Thanks for watching.